back, Terry. How are you doing today?
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've last seen each other. Has anything happened that you'd like to talk about? Any changes for you?
Not really.
No?
About the same.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I kind of wanted to preface this session with a little bit of recap of what we did last week, and then also there are a few more things that I need to cover that are more might seem a little bit structured. They're just more things to get to know you as a whole person, so I can help you as effectively as I can. So at our last session, we discussed the concern of you failing your classes currently, kind of that it's a little difficult to get to them right now. We also discussed that you're sleeping a little bit more than you usually do. We talked a little bit about your family dynamic and about your mom and your dad and your brother. We also talked a little bit about your roommate as well and that she is a support for you. You talked a little bit about your kind of religious background and how that makes you feel as a student at the University of Michigan, as well as how that kind of affects your family dynamic as well. And you talked a little bit about the things that are kind of like giving you a little bit of stress right now. Your financial situation, as far as taking out some loans for college. The guy that you kind of were talking to a little bit and how that's kind of affecting you as well. And then the fact that you haven't told your parents yet about what's going on with your classes, and I imagine that can be a pretty stressful situation for you to be in as well. And so with that, I want to ask, is there anything that it sounds like I didn't touch on that we touched on last week?
Yeah. I know we talked about like my mom and other stuff like that, but
Yeah, we can talk a little bit more about that today too if you'd like. But first, I'd just like to get kind of the background information out of the way, and then we can really get more in depth with the things that are really pressing for you. Does that sound okay to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. So I'm just going to be flipping through these pages, so just so you know, just taking more notes for you. And so I kind of wanted to, touching on your family a little bit more, the kind of like the histories of your parents, that might be important to know, maybe not, but it is something that I'd like to cover with you. What kind of like family history does your mom have? Does your dad have? Kind of, do you know anything about their parents, brothers and sisters they might have, occupation for them, that kind of thing? And I know it might be a little bit repetitive of what you've already told me, but really any background information on them is helpful.
Both of them are religious.
Mm-hmm.
I know my dad's dad was a pastor too.
Okay.
And his brother is also a pastor.
Mm-hmm.
Had a sort of bigger church,
Okay.
like a more mega churchy sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
My mom's side, I don't know. We don't really hang out with her side of the family as much.
Okay. Don't know too much about that side of the family?
No.
Okay.
Like I've heard that they're sort of difficult, like her parents are difficult.
Okay.
Haven't seen them in a while.
Okay. Anything else about your parents' backgrounds that you might want to tell me?
Well, you know about my mom's like sort of mental health stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. They met at the school I went to. They met at Cornerstone.
Okay.
And I think, the sort of classic, started dating in freshman year, got married after senior year. And my mom is in education, like she works as a secretary, and pastor and pastor's wife. Is there any other kind of history? Like, are you asking like mental health history?
I mean, anything really. Health history, mental health history, sure. Relational history with maybe their parents or their brothers and sisters. But I'm leaving it broad, just so you feel comfortable with giving me whatever information.
I know, like my dad and his brother, they get along.
Okay.
I think they moved to Indiana, but we still see them. And then my mom's side, I don't even remember the last time that we really hung out with their family. They live farther away too, so.
Okay. Can you tell me where your mom and dad are originally from?
My dad's from the area, and then my mom is from Iowa, I think.
Okay.
But we haven't really gone there for a while. So.
Okay. And then can you tell me how old both of them are?
I don't really think about that.
Okay.
Probably like in their 50s, like mid-50s.
Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell me about kind of their backgrounds? Maybe their interests, things that they like to do?
Well, my dad likes to read, so we have a big bookshelf at home. So like fantasy, he would always read Alice in Wonderland to me, so he always liked that sort of thing. I think if he had become a pastor, he probably would have gone into literature. Pastor was kind of the family thing.
Okay. Any interests that your mom has? Any kind of hobbies that she likes?
Organizing.
Yeah, it seems to kind of be the common theme with her. Yeah.
Controlling people's lives.
Okay. Is there anything else that you can think of at all?
I don't think so.
Okay. So we'll move on to the next thing then. So again, this is just a formality question, but have you had any type of history with legal issues or anything like that in your history? No? Okay. And the next couple of questions are going to touch on maybe some sensitive topics for you. Again, they're going to help me understand more about you as a person and your history. During the earlier times in your life when you were a child, can you remember a time where maybe you were separated for long periods from your parents or anything like that? Were you always kind of in the home with them?
Yeah.
Okay. Throughout your life, have you ever had any serious medical concerns that have cropped up? No? Okay. And then, can you remember any times during your life where you may have been rendered kind of voiceless in situations, or felt maybe demeaned, or that kind of thing? Can you think of anything?
Well, with my mom, I think. I mean, that might be a little, saying it's a little harsher than it was, but, I know, if I got a B on something, she would tell me stupid, or if I, didn't cook something the exact way that she would immediately, say that I was horrible at it and would take over. just basically if I wasn't perfect.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning some things about that a little last week. Do you want to elaborate on any of that at all?
She's just a hard, a hard person, and I don't really like thinking about it.
Okay, we can move on to another topic if you'd like.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, we can come back to that if you'd like. Okay. And you wouldn't say, I know you had talked about your mom kind of using some negative verbals towards you, but would you say that there was any physical violence at all in your household?
I mean, there is the sort of regular sort of discipline, but
Okay. Can you describe that a little bit if you're comfortable?
I mean, just like spanking sometimes, but nothing bad.
Okay.
That's just how my family is.
Okay. And so, let's see. Okay, so those are kind of the formality questions. Only a few that I had to go through. Was there anywhere that you'd like to start for this session? Anything that we talked about last week that you'd like to talk about again, or anything like that?
I guess I don't, like, I want to be able to be a normal person again, and I don't really know how to do that.
Yeah. Can you kind of describe normal for me?
Be able to get up when I want to get up. Being able to get to class, do my assignments, and yeah, mostly those sorts of things, because I feel like I'm not really me anymore, because I used to be like really academic, and I mean that's why I'm here,
Right.
and so that really is a lot of what I'm thinking about, and so what do I do about the fact that I'm failing? Like, is there someone I can talk to about that? Like, I don't know, I've never been in this situation before. So, those are a couple things.
Yeah, I think those are definitely great things to want to get better in your life. And I think through our work together that we can work on those things.
That'd be good.
Yeah. And so I guess I'll just go through what you talked about a little bit with me last week, and we can just discuss a little bit more about your feelings about certain things and kind of dive in a little bit deeper into certain things. And so I wonder, within the past week or so that I've seen you, has going to classes changed at all for you? Have the feelings kind of still remained the same?
I did go to class, a couple of my classes, which is good. I haven't done that in a little while.
Sounds like that's a really big improvement for you.
So that was good. I didn't go to all of them.
Okay.
But going there and seeing people was really exhausting.
Okay.
And I just felt like people were judging me because I haven't been there in a while.
What was making you think that they were judging you?
I don't know. Like, I just feel like, I don't know if they're actually saying anything, but like, the professor, just looked like a little surprised to see me, and so I mean that's to be expected, I guess. I know like that I would think of someone badly if they weren't coming to class. So I guess it's mostly what I would think of someone like me.
I wonder if his response to you coming to class could more so be wondering why you might be missing class, and maybe not so much of a negative reaction to you being there, but I wonder if it's more of a positive reaction. What do you think of that?
I don't know. I guess I didn't talk to him, which I should probably do. I've sort of been thinking about that and doing that, but so I should probably do that because then I would actually know.
What do you think might help you do that?
Help me talk to the professor?
Yeah.
I guess like if my roommate came with me, that would be good. I know she's busy too, but I think she could do that.
Yeah, she sounded like a really great support to you the last time that we talked. Has she still kind of been a good support to you through these past couple weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She like was really happy that I'd gone to a couple of classes, so
Yeah.
that was good. Yeah, it felt good.
That's really great to hear. I'm so glad that felt good for you to kind of go back to classes a little bit and see how that felt and get that support from your roommates still and have her be happy with your decisions as well. I imagine that's a little bit of an improvement from,
Yeah. I mean, I think like the sort of fear kept me from going to like all of them because I was afraid of being judged, even if it's not actual judgment. But so sort of mixed feelings, I guess.
Yeah. And I think that is likely very normal after maybe missing so many classes and wondering whether or not you're going to be received well once you do possibly come back and that kind of thing. I imagine that the fear of judgment would kind of creep up in you.
Yeah.
So, we'll just keep going through kind of these things. So it sounds like it's become a little bit, would you say that it's become a little easier to get out of the house by yourself?
I think maybe a little bit. It was nice to have someone to talk to. So, but, you know, actually getting some of the ideas out with you. Because I had to get out of the house to do that. So I don't really know, like, I'm pretty sure there's no way that I could be passing my classes now because of the, you know, how many times you can miss. So, yeah, I've heard, like, that you can do incompletes, I think. So I need to figure out how to do that.
What do you think would help you to... I know you said that we talked maybe briefly about talking to your professor. Do you feel that maybe having your roommate help you through the process of figuring out, you know, what would I do with like an incomplete versus maybe talking to your professors? Do you think that maybe having your roommate help you through those things would be a good idea?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would work.
Yeah. Does it feel like that would improve things for you a little bit?
I would at least have some idea of where to go.
Yeah. And I think that at least is a little bit better than where we even started last week. I mean, it's been only a week, and already you're telling me these amazing improvements that you've had, and yeah. But yeah, I think that your roommate might be a really good support for you in kind of navigating this really kind of tough time for you right now, and mentioning the fact that you think that she could come with you to talk to your professors. I think again that's a very good first step in maybe figuring out what to do next.
Yeah.
Do you have any other thoughts about that?
I guess that sounds a little more like something I could actually do. Like it's always been this big thing that just sort of is overwhelming. And thinking of an actual thing that I could do would be helpful.
Yeah, I imagine that, seeing this, you said that you were kind of a perfectionist, and knowing that you might not be doing as well in your classes as you'd like to be, and that kind of thing can be very shocking and cause you to feel a little bit worse about yourself. And knowing that you can take some kind of smaller steps to get out of this situation that you found yourself in. Yeah, I can imagine that feels a little bit less overwhelming as it may have been when you originally were finding yourself in this situation.
Yeah, it sounds like something I can do.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're here to talk about: doable things that can help you in whatever way. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about your situation with the grades? Would you like to move on to a different topic?
I guess, it kind of has to do with the same thing, but like about money and my parents, and I don't even know where to start with that.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna know at some point, and I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah, I can imagine that's something that is very hard to just figure out. And from what you were telling me from last week, it seems like it might be a bit of a hurdle to contact them in the first place when you may have found yourself a little bit surrounded in this sort of perfectionism that you kind of grew up in with your dad as a pastor, and kind of having that family perfection and that kind of thing that you kind of mentioned. So I can imagine that it would be a pretty, a daunting task to just tell them what's going on.
Yeah, I mean it wouldn't go well, and I don't know. I don't know how to. I don't know. Maybe I won't even deal with that just yet. But I'm just thinking about that.
Yeah. Is it something that you've been thinking about pretty often as this has kind of come up for you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean that's harder for me than the idea of talking to a professor. Just because they're my family.
Yeah.
So.
Now, is it your family as a whole, or is it your parents that you're more so nervous about telling?
My parents. I mean, my brother failed, so he's not gonna judge me. But yeah, how they would view me, because I've always, really worked hard at being good at things. And I can't go back and live at home. That can't happen. So yeah, just I think about that and I worry about that.
I'm still trying to figure it out.
It seems like a very valid worry for you to have, given what you've described to me as what your kind of family dynamic is. I wonder what it might be like to maybe talk to your brother about it. Can you maybe tell me what you would envision that conversation maybe looking like, or what you might think the outcome would be if you talked to your brother?
I guess I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, I mean, we Skype sometimes, and he knows a little more about how I've been feeling. I mean, he's not the most stable person, but I know that he cares about me. I would just make sure, because I always have to sort of test with my brother, like if I see him and he looks like he's been drinking, he can be a real ass sometimes. So.
No, that's okay. You can feel free to use language that you see fit.
So I sort of have to gauge that. But, because, yeah, he's a jerk when he's been drinking. Pretty obvious from the beginning, but if he hasn't been, then he's usually fine. So.
Yeah, I imagine that it might be a little tricky to maybe know when you might be able to talk to him, and I wonder if he could be that support if he kind of has his own, his alcoholism as you described it. I imagine that can be a little bit difficult in trying to rely on him as a support for you if you were to talk to him about this.
Yeah, but, like, I don't know. I think he would be someone that would understand, because we've both been dealing with that. Yeah, he's not dealing with it really well, but I think it could maybe help. It wouldn't hurt to try.
I guess that's just something for you to think about within our time together and that kind of thing. So continuing to kind of talk about your family a little bit. Let's see. You said that your mom and dad kind of like call you every week. Have they still done that within the time that I haven't seen you?
They were really busy last week. They do usually call. But there's this, they do this big, old books from people's houses where they, sell them.
Mm-hmm.
And so that takes, the whole day. So they were busy, so I didn't talk to them.
Okay.
But, yeah, it was a relief.
Yeah, I was going to ask how was that for you, kind of not having that weekly phone call?
I mean, it's sort of horrible to say, but I didn't really want to talk to them. I wish I could talk to my dad on his own, because I feel like telling my dad wouldn't be so bad. But they always call me together.
Okay.
So, yeah. So I think I could talk to him about that. He's, more even-keeled, and we get along more. So I could see if maybe I could just talk to him.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to make any concrete plans or anything right now. We're just kind of, understanding where your thoughts are at and that kind of thing. So don't feel pressured to, make any decisions or anything like that right now. Just because, it's a lot. It seems like a lot and a very, overwhelming topic for you to think about. So, definitely don't feel pressured to make any decisions or plans and that kind of thing.
Because Thanksgiving's coming up and then I'm going to go home and I'll see them.
Yeah.
So,
What do you think that will be like for you going home for Thanksgiving?
I sort of wonder, like, I don't know, should I tell them before or do I just pretend? You know, I don't know. It's sort of stressful to think about.
Yeah.
But we're usually with other family too, so
Okay.
maybe it won't be that bad.
Yeah.
I've heard Thanksgiving's kind of a stressful time for a lot of people, though.
Has it been a stressful time for your family historically?
Probably no more than other families. I mean, just it's usually with my uncle and with my dad's parents. That's not too bad, but sometimes my mom doesn't get along super well with my uncle. Surprise, surprise.
Why do you say that?
I don't she doesn't really get along well with a lot of people. So
Okay.
my uncle is like a lot more. I don't know. I think she kind of looks down on the fact that he teaches at a mega church, whereas like my dad, it's like a small, sort of traditional church, and I don't know. She sort of looks down on that, and like my uncle knows that, so they're a little. It's not usually too bad, but they stay away from each other.
Okay. So talking more about the phone call with your parents and that kind of thing. So you said that your mom and dad are always together during this weekly phone call.
Yeah.
Well, why is that they're always together during this weekly phone call?
That's just the way my parents have always done that.
Okay. So there's never a time that like one of them is out of the house or anything when making the phone call? They've always made the decision to set aside some amount of time to make the phone call together?
Yeah. I don't know, do families do that? They're like separate things? That's just the way my family works, so.
Yeah, and I think a lot of families operate in a lot of different ways. Some families have phone calls once a day. Other families don't call each other at all throughout the semester. So I don't think there's any kind of normalcy, like normal way to do things, or there's just a lot of different ways to do things. So is that something that you kind of wondered about, whether or not that was like a normal thing for your family to do, or if other families did things differently?
I guess I sort of thought that I would rather that I could just talk to my dad, but I didn't, I just thought that was just the way people did it. But I guess now that I think about it, like my roommate doesn't just talk to her parents all together, so that would make more sense. But, well, I mean, I think, I don't know, I'm just making this up, I don't know, but, it could have something to do with the fact that, my mom likes the structure of it and likes to be there and likes to know everything, because it's always at the same time.
It kind of coincides with her organizing and that kind of thing.
So that would make sense. So it's always both of them. So, yeah, I hadn't thought about that before, but that makes sense. It makes me just think about, when I went to college and realized not everyone's family is like this,
Yeah.
Your family's kind of freakish.
It sounds like you're feeling like you're discovering new things about your family and other people's families, even now that you're older and getting into adulthood and that kind of thing.
Yeah, like, I felt like I should know all these things by now, but I keep learning other ways that my family is different and doesn't work like everyone else's.
How does that feel for you?
I guess like I could have had a different life. You know, my roommate's parents are really great. I've gone on like, you know, long weekends with her family sometimes. They've really sort of accepted me and kind of adopted me, which is really nice. And I'd rather go there than my family sometimes.
What do you really like about her parents?
Like, they don't expect anything of me.
It sounds like it feels a little bit easier to be with them.
Yeah, and they just like me. You know, I don't have to do anything for them to like me.
Yeah.
So,
It sounds like you may be touching on the perfectionism aspect once again.
yeah.
It sounds like that's a pretty common theme that we've been talking about so far that kind of runs through your life in a lot of ways. Is that accurate, what I'm saying? Am I getting to something there?
I think that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Sometimes I know that it's there, but I forget like how much it affects my life. Like I know it's a thing because my roommate's like, just do it, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. And because I sort of freeze at doing new things because I am worried I won't do it right. That's why I'm bad at like stuff like Pictionary.
I imagine that can be somewhat of a common thing for a lot of graduate students as well. I imagine that maybe not having the same circumstances as you, but just knowing that you're probably not the only person to feel like you have to be, you know, perfect at everything and do the best, and that not doing the best is a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes me feel a little better.
I'm glad. So what So what do you think might happen if you were to have that conversation with your dad, you know, have that phone call, just him and you by yourselves? How do you think that might look?
I mean, it would be hard, but I mean, my dad cares about me, and I don't know, like, I mean, I know that the money thing would be difficult, but my dad's always been a bit more open, just, you know, seeing what's going on.
And you keep mentioning, like, the money thing and that kind of thing. Would you say that your family has, like, struggled with money, or that it hasn't really been too big of an issue, or that it's something that you yourself are just more so worried about than maybe your family would be?
I mean, you know, pastors don't make a lot of money, and people in education don't make a lot of money. So I've had to take out a lot of loans for stuff, you know. And I did some scholarship stuff as well, which helped, but you know, a lot of you know, I didn't get all that much for this program, so and I know that as soon as I'm not a student, you know, that the interest starts going. So, yeah, money's always been something that we've talked about in our family.
Yeah, so it's been kind of like a salient thing that has always been talked about, as you said.
Yeah, because I know that, you know, like in growing up, like I always knew that my family didn't have as much as other families, and that we lived in, a smaller home.
What was that like?
I mean, like, we didn't live in a bad home. I guess it just, like, it was fine for the most part. I guess I just didn't usually invite people over to my home, though. Because it was small, but also because, I didn't want them to see that it was weird, with my mom and how she does things.
So you found yourself going out to other friends' houses, just to kind of not have them experience what you may have been experiencing at your home?
Yeah.
So, again, going back to kind of the phone call that you might have with your dad, you said that money would probably come up in that conversation.
Yeah.
What else do you think might come up in that conversation if you were to have it with him?
Probably some, like, yes, being some frustration. Just because this already happened with my brother. I think he would ask, why. And, the idea of explaining, that I just don't feel good sounds lame. Like, I think it sounds lame, so.
Why do you think that?
Because, even if you don't feel good, you should be able to go and do things. Is that really an excuse? I don't know.
Well, it sounds like that kind of touches on, again, the way that your dad liked to kind of have. I think it touches on the perfectionism that surrounded your family. You knew that your mom was having some problems, and you knew it, your brother knew it, your dad knew it, and yet still trying to have your family look a certain way at church, and on the outside, seem put together, but on the inside, things maybe not being so great. So it seems like that, again, is another running theme.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
So knowing that, what does that kind of change the way that you might think about what you just said? Like, does that not change anything for you?
I don't know. It's something I'm still trying to figure out, I guess. Part of me knows that, it's obviously really hard for me. But another part of me just thinks that I'm bad because I didn't do it. So, yeah, it's just kind of hard sometimes to figure out which one is right.
Yeah, I imagine it can be very challenging when you've grown up a certain way and have had these kind of thoughts throughout your mind kind of as you've been growing up and been taught a certain way, and then you have kind of these counteracting thoughts that are coming in too, and knowing which one works the best for you and which one may not necessarily be as true, and I imagine that can be a very challenging thing to kind of deal with.
Yeah, it's sort of hard, but I think a lot. Especially when I'm not doing as much.
Yeah. I imagine that it can be pretty easy to maybe think a lot more than you used to when you might have been outside of classes and had more time to yourself and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like being into
So we've touched a little bit on the phone call with your dad and got you thinking a little bit about that, and talked a little bit about your roommate as a very, nice support for you. I wonder, and if you don't want to talk about this, let me know, that's fine. But has anything changed with the way that you've kind of viewed the guy that kind of was at the beginning of all of this? Has anything happened with that recently at all? I know that was very painful for you, so I understand if you don't want to touch on that very much.
Yeah, I actually haven't talked to him in a while either. Sometimes we'll just like
I guess that,
but I haven't really been talking.
I've more,
I know he's in colleges.
like,
Yeah, I don't
I
really
guess when I think about it, it's not so much about him,
Okay.
but about, like, being wanted by someone.
It's really difficult.
Or the idea of even getting married and having kids at all, I don't know, do I even want to have more little me's? I don't know, what kind of mother would I be? I don't know. Just thinking about that.
Yeah. There's just a lot of changes going on. So maybe that's one of the things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what you touch on is very common in a lot of women. I think a lot of women in our society kind of think about, their future and what kind of partner they may have, and if they want children, and if they do have children, what kind of mom would they be, and
Things are so different.
I wonder if you might think about what kind of mother you might be because of the kind of mother you have.
But at college it's a lot different.
Can you say that again?
I wonder if you think about the kind of mother that you would be because of the kind of mother that you've had.
Yeah, I sort of wondered, should my mom have even had children, because she's so difficult. I know that's kind of a horrible thing to say about someone, but she isn't a good mom. And would I be a good mom? I mean, I have my own stuff going on, and I mean, I wouldn't have to have kids, but I don't know. Just about relationships and how that would work. But it would be nice to be wanted by someone.
Make it work.
Yeah. I think that's a very valid feeling to have, and I think it's very natural to feel wanted, and I commend you for knowing that it's not about the specific guy, and that it might be about this kind of larger feeling that maybe got brought up by this interaction with this guy.
Yeah. I don't know how that looks going.
And so we are coming to an end of our session. I know that we're kind of stopping at an abrupt point, and that a lot of feelings have come up during this session as well. But I want to thank you for hanging in there and expressing as much as you have to me. I think that even within the past week, you've made, some very good improvements, and I just want to reiterate that to you and let you know that. Are there any lingering thoughts or questions that you have for me? No? Okay. Well, it was wonderful to have you back, and we will see each other at our next session.